Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
Oh, man, it's good. I miss you.
I
miss you. Man, camping was pretty awesome. It was a byproduct of the ball tournament. We'll get into that a little bit later. Your Vancouver Canucks, my Vancouver Canucks, my very good friend Ted's Vancouver Canucks decided that Edmonton felt like home. And man, they gave an ass kicking to the Edmonton Oilers. Not a major one, but one they're going to remember. Welcome everybody to the PP1 podcast playoff post-game show. We got Third Line Vibes. We got Playoff Towel Merchant. Buy one of our t-shirts. I'm not wearing it tonight, but please buy one of our t-shirts. That would be
probably
great.
Should have had it on. Didn't think. My bad.
I wore it all weekend, man. Enough. It got a lot of pub. That's for sure.
Good.
The Canucks won Game 3, take a 2-1 series lead. Brock Besser scored every single goal except for one, apparently, and actually except for two. I take that back. And it was awesome.
You got there, yeah.
Artie Party was as advertised. Man, I can't believe it took this late in the season to have a goalie controversy. Like, it's a little late.
Yeah, it's weird. Hey, it's like we're seeing him come of age just right in front of our eyes. Like
I remember when he was drafted. Seems like
I do, yeah.
Seems like 2 years ago.
and there's lots of story coming out about it now, and Ian Clark pushing to have him drafted a little earlier. Like, have we not got my guy yet? And lo and behold, after looking like he was in a bad spot, Artie Party, looking like he was in bad spot during the Benning era, right? Remember during COVID, he wasn't even playing in a Canuck uniform. He was playing in Winnipeg.
That's right. Right.
He was playing for the Moose, I think it was.
That's right.
And was barely getting any games. Like, if I remember correctly, he had something like, between 4 and 7 starts or something like that. Like, just getting no time at all, because when you're a lent goalie to a minor league affiliate, I mean, it's the other team's discretion on when they're going to play your guys, right? So
that's right.
That was a really bad year, right? I mean, if you think about where we are in that COVID bubble, and you get guys like DiPietro just sitting an entire year, basically burning up his development. And
that was fun.
The Canucks are lucky, right? I mean, that Benning era just about ruined 2 goalies. It could have ruined Seelaws, and it could have ruined DiPietro. DiPietro hasn't really popped yet after having some success in junior, and looking good as a pro early on. And Seelaws finding his way and into form now over these last. It's been a total whirlwind for him.
He's not Justin Pogge.
He's not Justin Pogge. Remember playing against Justin Pogge in ball hockey. That was pretty funny. Then trying to work to go to nationals. It was pretty hilarious stuff. But yeah, even he was super good. What a freaking game though, man. Like, I don't know. I know that we were heavily outshot. Seelaws was big, 42 saves. Who would have saw that coming? Post made about a dozen saves.
Oh my. Okay, so every game when these kind of things happen, regular season, playoffs, when you see like a couple posts or like a few missed wide open nets, like your brain goes to a spot, right? You're like, okay, if this isn't going in, nothing's going to go in. Those games, usually it's a shutout at that point. So you just think like, we're not going to score. And like Leon Draisaitl knows how to score goals. We've seen it. We've seen it often.
He's pretty good. We've seen it here in Kelowna.
Yes. He does know how to play the game of hockey. But I tell you, when those little things happen, I just thought, I'm like, this game has really been going Vancouver's way. And then it just kept going their way. And I thought, oh my gosh, are they really going to pull this off? Like, so back to camping for a second.
You have to post this second comment. It's just hilarious.
Back to camping for a second. So Friday night, managed to, is this the Shelovs one?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. It is Mother's Day, but is it weird if it calls Shelovs daddy? It's not weird. It's like, it's something.
I say what I would say. It's only weird if you make it weird.
Exactly. So game 2, watching at the campsite. We were having multiple streaming issues because most campsites don't have Wi-Fi or good Wi-Fi or any Wi-Fi. So we're like cycling through phones of who's got the best connection, trying to get it on the projector. We had a sick setup. It ended up, well, you saw the photo.
Yeah,
People were like listening and stuff from around the campsite. By the second period, we had like 2 guys show up. They're like, "Man, you guys have the game on. This is awesome." So like the one guy comes up, he's like, "Hey, whose campsite is this?" And we're like, "Oh, it's Robin's." He's like, has a beer in hand. He's like, "Dude, can I watch the game with you?" We're like, "Absolutely." And he gives him the beer. We're like, "Man, this is what it's." A dude was rocking a Bure jersey, came later in the second. It was awesome.
my man.
So it was a good time. So the game obviously didn't go the Canucks' way, which was really too bad. But I mean, it was one of those games where, like, had that game gone their way, this game becomes monumental. This game becomes like basically the dagger.
This game
But it's
was
really starting to
monumental
feel
as it
like it.
was, but yeah.
It's starting to feel like it's getting close, right? Like, you know what I've said about this team, that obviously, McDavid and Draisaitl, but I mean, they're a one-line team, and it's starting to show that way. The Canucks don't have that elite talent. I mean, Quinn Hughes is pretty impressive. They've got guys that haven't quite stepped up in this series, but have played. They've got 4 lines and 3 defensive pairings that they can go up and down.
Yeah, Ryan, you're frozen. I was just looking at again, you've frozen out a little bit, but I'm just looking at some of the ice time numbers, and it's like you've got Draisaitl at 29 minutes, you've got McDavid at 29 minutes, you've got Heyman at 26 and a half minutes, and then after that, I think there's Nuge. Nuge is 22 and a half, right? So I mean, so those 4 guys are quite loaded up, and then you start to get a little bit further down. You're looking at Warren Fogle 8.5. Janmark 6, Holloway as 11, 11 for McLeod, 14 for Evander Kane. Like, there really is no high minute man past that point, right? And I like to think about the way that game started off too. Instantly puck gets deep. Lindholm absolutely annihilates Ekholm. He gets up, and like seconds later, like literally seconds later, we walk in, and it's like I can't even remember who it was that it was Joshua, just comes in and just like unloads on him. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Solid energy to start the first, and then the Canucks are rolling.
Are we still here?
Yeah, that was weird. I was just going for it while you were frozen in time there, and then all of a sudden I got bumped.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
So Wi-Fi in and out.
So yeah,
You know
you were talking about the fact that it's looking like it's just a one-line team. So I had quickly gone through the ice times, and it was like there's a bunch of guys hanging around 11 minutes and 7 minutes and 8 minutes, and then you have like your four sort of big minute men, right? Like it's Draisaitl, McDavid, Heyman, and Nugent Hopkins, and then after that, it's like what? Like a huge drop off past that point. So like world attrition. I mean, Fogle didn't even have that many minutes worth of ice time. I'm looking at Fogle. I think Fogle had something like, eight, almost 9 minutes.
That's not.
And I noticed Fogle. I should say I noticed Fogle a lot, right? But yeah, I mean, we talked briefly about the fact that the game starts off with those two huge hits. Yeah, Fogle was noticeable tonight too. So yeah, Spider Soul seeing the same thing. Grant's got me there. Brian's frozen again, so that's super neat. Another cool storyline, obviously Linus Karlsson and Nils Åman's, inserted into the lineup. I thought this was a pretty fun move. I think sometimes I wonder when it's been this long, we haven't had to make any major lineup changes after the last little bit. And it's not like I think just making changes for the sake of making changes, but yeah, Oman was impressive, and I think having him on that third line, solid skating ability, bit of a bigger body, looked really good out there. He took the puck to the net for a chance on a penalty kill, which I thought was really good. Tried to find Brett Besser on that 2-on-1, which just about converted too. So he looked good in the corners, pretty strong. Yeah, Mikheyev was a dark hole again. It's so crazy how many chances this guy is getting, just night after night. Big chances. You can still see that speed is out there. It's evident sometimes, and when he has it, he takes away, and he's got a good shot on net. But it seems like everything, Grant, and I'm sure that you saw this too, but everything seems to be being shot right at that logo. Oh, look at this. We got two Ryans on the cast here.
Okay, we're getting this.
Maybe mute the other one.
That's what I'm doing. How about that? No.
Oh, man. This is the most bush pod I think we've done since like year one.
Just wait. Does it work?
Okay. Yeah, it's working.
So I'm on data, I think. This is something.
Beauty. I don't know how much you missed there. We talked about a little bit about
heard it all. I heard
Oman
it all.
and Karlsson. But like the Oman thing really good, looked really good. I don't know what you saw, Ryan, but I really noticed Karlsson out there. I mean,
I think
he's a better skater than I thought he was too. And I know that he's a bit of a bigger guy as well. He's like 6'2". But I don't think he looked out of place at all. In fact, I was kind of like really excited every time I saw him on the ice because he was in there on the forecheck getting it done.
Yeah, I think like I didn't know that they were inserting him and Amon. And was there a third guy tonight? I can't remember.
Yeah, well, no, there wasn't a third. Well, PDG was out for undisclosed reasons. Hoggy came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
So Oman and Karlsson factored in. There was all sorts of rumors that it was going to be Juleson coming in place of Cole, but that's just rumors. Like I just, I want to talk a little bit about this too, but Tocchet's ability to not make a move, I think, has been pretty impactful. Whether it's not making a call on challenging a penalty to put yourself down in the middle of trying to mount a comeback,
like in Florida.
Yeah, or whether it's to not go back to Casey DeSmith after he's healthy because Seelovs has sort of proven himself in the net for the last little bit here.
Yeah.
Because everybody was calling for DeSmith to go back, right? I mean, if you remember this, I think even Kelly Rudy said on the cast, I think you got to go back to the vet. So this non-move ended up being a bigger move than making a change simply for the sake of making a change. But it was time, I think, to inject some new blood into the lineup. And I got to be really honest with you, I really noticed Oman and Karlsson.
I mean, I how could you not? Like I said, he put Karlsson in there with like a minute and a half to go. I mean, this is the playoffs.
That's amazing.
This is them trying to lock in at least overtime again. And he's like, yeah, just go out there. And he acted like that was just what he's done for the Canucks forever. And I think Amon looks good. I mean, Niels Amon has looked good all season. So it's not like this is a surprise. This was kind of his first real showing. I can't remember. Did he play at all in the first round?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So I mean, this is
I think
again,
this was like his playoff to me. He played almost 11 minutes, which is like it's more than Warren Fogle, who we noticed a lot on Edmonton side. It's like as much as Holloway. Like we're talking about some important people who should be important role players for this Oilers team on those third and fourth line, and I'm just barely seeing them at all. Right? I mean, it's Draisaitl and it's McDavid everywhere. It seems like they're on all four lines.
so if you look at the power play, speaking of McDavid and Draisaitl, aside from the power play, which I mean, let's be honest, that's the one thing that they can't stop. And I mean, it's been tough for anybody to stop. Like they did kill a few, but I mean, if it's 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, I mean, how do you not still pick the Canucks in the series? I'm sorry, as good as the Oilers have looked on their big rush, like the Canucks are starting to show who they were at the beginning and the middle and almost the end of the season. Their goaltending has obviously really helped them out. But I mean, they're getting contributions like Brock Besser. I mean,
Oh man,
how many times are we ever going to tweet this stupid picture? Like, I love it every single time.
until the redemption tour ends.
Yeah, I mean, the final show, is he going to bring out like, features? Like, are we going to have like, is
It's
Trevor
going to
Linden
release it
gonna
like
come out?
a second album, like a 2-disc set. It's just going to drop
Yeah,
it.
Trevor Linden's going to come out for a shift. The Sedins are going to come out for a shift. Like I look at this Canucks team as a whole, and the fact that they're willing to bring in Nils Amon and they're willing to bring in Linus Karlsson, basically cold turkey. And even after the first goal that went in, and they showed the video of Tocchet, just a little thumbs up to Seeloff's, like don't worry about it, man. This game is far from over, and it was far from over. The Canucks absolutely took it to them. This is the Canucks. I was saying this on the weekend too. Like, this is a team. Like, this is a playoff team. This isn't a playoff line. I think we're still seeing in Edmonton that it's still a playoff line. Like, they held Evander Kane in check. They held scary Corey Perry in check. They held, I mean, Bouchard to a degree. Like, they're holding all of the guys that people are telling us to worry about into check. And then you look at the Canucks, and like when they didn't get a lot of shots, they didn't, and that's kind of their MO anyway. But I mean, they're making everything else count. Like Zadorov. Oh, actually,
Oh man,
before we go any further, I do have something for you folks that you might just like. So sorry you guys had to see that. And then I'm going to show this because this was obviously monumental.
Unable to pull the trigger quick enough. It's given away. Besser again. Hat-trick goal. Brock Besser. And there are hats flying here.
For whatever reason, I didn't have sound on those, but it really doesn't matter because you get the feeling.
you had sound. We had sound.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't have it on the phone here. I could probably switch back, but this is way more fun. This team is just doing all of they're not even little things. These are all big things now. And we're seeing it up and down the line. Like Lafferty looked good. Connor Garland had, I thought, a great game again. Like I think, was it Wyatt that made the tweet? Like, leave it to Connor Garland to like make the absolute hardest little things possible, and he still manages to clear it out when like the weight of the world's on him. So pretty crazy. We got a question here from Grant. Grant, we're gonna have you back on, but it's gonna kill our comment section. Demko, game 5. Do you think he's starting to take shots? Now you're ahead of game. Does he love to stay healthy in game 4? Demko 6 and 7. What do you think, Ted? Curtis, we're gonna get to yours too.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. If Demko's coming in, I want Demko back in the net when he's ready to be back in the net permanently.
100%.
I don't want to I don't need Demko to, especially if the Canucks are playing the way they're playing right now. We don't need Demko to come in to save and potentially re-injure this thing, right? And I think that they were worried about that a little bit last time, and I think they were worried about that with Casey DeSmith too, and that's part of the reason why Stu Love's even got the start, right? So if you have something that's in net that's viable, it's holding water right now. It seems to be working. I find it hard to believe that being in control of the series at this point in time, that they're going to want to go back to Demko unless you 100% know he's good to go. That has to be.
I don't think you do switch him personally.
Yeah, I think it has to be a break glass in case of emergency thing if you're putting it in this early. and I still think DeSmith is still there too, right? If there is issues that creep into Silov's game, but man, after tonight, it's going to be pretty hard to take that kid out of the net until something goes wrong.
Yeah, I think it's a weird thing to say, but I mean, like, don't mess with a good thing, right? I mean, as great as Demko is, if you don't need him in this series, like if we get into game 4, and let's just say the Canucks win, let's just have the conversation for a second. I mean, Demko isn't going to steal you that series unless things get really dicey. Then you just ride Shilovs for the rest of it. You have a healthy Demko who basically you can then be ready for the conference finals at that point. That's not a problem. That's a good thing. I mean, if we're going to call it a problem, I believe we call those good problems. And like all of a sudden now you have a Vezina nominated goaltender ready for the conference final who's ready to now steal you games against, I don't even want to know yet if it gets that far because both of those teams are super scary. But I mean, this is a problem that the Canucks should be thrilled they have. And I mean, really worst case scenario, like Casey DeSmith is still hanging around. They're probably not going to try him right now because all that trust is in Shilovs. And there's zero trust in Edmonton, as we saw tonight. They did the thing that everyone thought Taka would do. And we now have seen their hand, and it's not good.
Another non-move.
Yeah.
Another non-move for Tocchet that's paid off, right? Like
huge.
Obviously, if we have the option of a 100% Demko, or even a 95% Demko, or a Silovs playing like his hair is on fire right now, you're going back to Demko. Like that's not a question. We all know that, but we need to know that they need to know that that's where he's at physically before they go ahead and make that call.
And I think they probably thought that though going into game 1, right? Like you probably thought Demko was ready to go, and then all of a sudden we have this injury again. You're like, oh man, like how far away or how close were we actually? Or is this just another freak injury on top of the existing one? So we're not going to know that, right? We're never going to know truly like what was going on there. But speaking of guys that are keeping the puck out of one net and into the other one, Curtis with an absolute beauty question. If they're going to keep Cole in the lineup, then find a spot for him on PP1. He's finding ways to put pucks in his own net. So let's try to get some thrown in the Oilers net. That is an absolute great comment. Curtis is a buddy of mine. And it's so true. Like Ian Cole has had probably some of the worst possible luck you could have.
Well, worst and best, right? I mean, he was a factor in those in 3 goals, I think, and was it the last game?
Mm-hmm.
But also factored in on one of the Canucks goals too, right? It was like I like Ian Cole when I don't notice Ian Cole out there, and we're noticing him a lot right now for good and bad reasons sometimes. But
actually, can I just stop you for 1 second? So,
please,
if you guys haven't seen this book, 100 Things Canucks fans Should Know and Do Before They Die, it's seeing Ian Cole in a playoff game. It's a weird one in there. I'm not sure why. They're like, you have no idea what you're about to get, but you're gonna love it either way. So you should probably check it out. Sorry, get back to your thing.
Well, I mean, hey, we saw this power play thing is hilarious to me. We saw Zadorov in front of the net, and it just happened to work. I mean, watching Big Z was very Chara-esque, which is funny because that's another guy that goes by the name of Big Z.
Sure.
But yeah, sure, for shits and giggles, you know, why not throw Ian Cole out in front of the net? And he's a big body, 225 pounds. I'm sure he can take up some space and make things hard to see. But that's a pretty friggin' funny one. So big fan of that one.
I'm just loading up the final video here. So anyway, they go up in this game. The Canucks are up now 2-1. What's your vibe going into game 4?
More of the same. Like it's going to be hard no matter what. Like we thought that the Oilers were going to come out flying for this game, and they did. But I just think Vancouver was able to squash it right away. I think like dumping that puck in the corner and having, you know, Lindholm and Joshua go after Ekholm right off the bat. That was like, yeah, what a recipe to sort of take the crowd out of it. The crowd was loud. Like it's a loud barn. I tweeted it earlier. I don't remember the last time I saw it that quick, but if you just turn the game into this like mud bog, You got to move through the thickness of the mud just to do anything, and you just clog up the neutral zone like that. Like I think that's the only way they can win these games, and I think you have to sort of take that from them, because it's not as easy as being in Vancouver and getting a big hit and having things flip back in your favor. There is no favor when you're playing in a place like Edmonton, so you got to just squash the fans right away. And man, they did a really good. That's about as good as a first period as you can possibly have, and they rode that first all the way to the win, essentially.
Totally. I'm going to show this clip, and we're going to get into something that everyone's going to be talking about probably for the next few days. Here we go.
Here's the first push, and then slash back, and then the cross check on the numbers, and then everybody getting involved. The end result is,
well, fuck around, find out.
I think that's the kind of thing. So here's my 2 cents on this. First of all, super awesome, and I've watched it 30 times since we've gone on live on air. And it's like, have you seen Meet Joe Black?
When he gets crumpled by that car
and the bus.
Right.
Basically, this is the equivalent. So here's what I'm thinking. Edmonton, Oilers Nation, their team, everybody, they're all going to be pissed in it. They're going to be out for blood. They're going to be calling for their heads, suspensions, this, that, and the other. You might see a fine based on what the action was at the end. He cross-checked him in the face.
I mean, he didn't cross-check him in the face. He put his hand up. He just happened to get cross-checked into his stick.
Okay. Anyway.
Anyway, it was two things, right? So, I mean, you turn around and you two-hand a guy.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen? Bro, this isn't the 1980s Oilers. You're not Wayne Gretzky. There's not
Wayne Gretzky wouldn't have done that.
There's not McSorley and Semenko coming to your rescue to just beat the tar out of something. These aren't tiny guys. These are 6'5" and 6'6" defensemen. And if you're going to turn around and two-hand a guy, you're going to get it back. Like, fuck around, find out.
Yeah.
So the second that he does that, Zadora gives him one in the low back. Susie puts his stick up high, and he essentially accordions and crumples to the ice after that. The reverse view, if you can see the view facing McDavid's face when that happens, it's even worse. His head snaps back so hard.
Okay, I'm gonna find that one.
I mean, it's kind of your fault, man. Like, I don't know what you're thinking.
Here's what I'm thinking, though. So everybody's gonna be, like I said, they're gonna be choked. This is one of those things that is going to make people boiling mad,
and so they should be,
and it will. So this is now mental warfare. They are now getting in their head to the point where, like, now the Oilers are going to be out for blood in Game 4. And not in a way like we're going to try to run you. They're now going to be doing things that are probably not what they should be doing in Game 4. They're going to start making plays that might be on the edge of, like, this is probably where we should probably have a watch at Corey Perry, Evander Kane, even Darnell Nurse. I think they're now in their head a little bit. And I think going into Game 4, something like that, taking McDavid and turning him into a suitcase is I mean, if that was Quinn Hughes, let's say Quinn Hughes was the guy that did the hack, right? We'd all be pretty pissed. We would all be sure that something needed to happen, or if it's Patterson or whatever it was. Everybody would probably be on their game like, we have to make it target 1, first period, that this happens. Honestly, go for it. Because if that's what happens, you're already in their head, and it's only a matter of time before the Canucks start making them pay. This is the kind of thing that could totally backfire. I'm just saying. I think the Canucks have played this underdog role so well that they are the dog in this fight now. You know what I mean?
There is a bit of this element of, like, don't poke the bear kind of thing. But there's also, when you have a guy like Susie and you have a guy like Zadorov, and it's like, I don't give a shit if you're the best player in the world. Like, I respect you on the ice. I know that you have to be covered. It's all eyes on a swivel when you're out there. But, like, I will, like, what I'm seeing from this team is, like, I will come at you if you come at me.
Totally.
Like, I don't care who you are, is what I'm seeing. And good for them. Like, really, like, show them no respect in the scrums if they're not showing. You know, what are you thinking going after a guy like Susie? What are you thinking? Like, I know you're frustrated, but that's not a smart move, man. Like, of course you're going to get a stick to the face. Like, Of course that's going to happen.
He's rattled though. Like McDavid
they're
and Draisaitl. I mean, they've been scoring. They finally got off the schneid.
and they look good.
They do. They look dangerous, but they're in their heads. And I mean, this team, we said this last time, this is the kind of team, they don't just need to beat the Canucks. They need to beat the Canucks because that's the team that they need to get over the hump for as a second round opponent. This Oilers team needs this series win. And it's not over, and they could rebound, and it could be 2-2.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But if it's not, this is a really, really tough hill to climb for Edmonton. And like I said, we're going to enjoy this as long as we can. Game 4 comes on Tuesday. It's going to be awesome. But I mean, the game's starting to get played in their heads now, and it's not even just on the ice. It's off the ice. And I think this is playing right. I mean, Rick Tocchet has such a great coaching crew to play off of this too. I mean, the Sedins are probably going to be like, guys, this is what we did. These are the things that we did to keep going. This is, keep it out of your head. Just play it on the ice. And I think that's what it looks like right now. I think the Canucks are keeping everything on the ice. I mean, some of it's kind of boring and it's not as exciting as the Oilers. But I mean, honestly, I don't care. It's 2-1 in the series, and it almost should have been 3-0. So, you can say whatever you want about the style. The series score is all that matters. It could be 8-0 in one game. It could be 2-1 in the next. All that matters is what the series score is at. And right now the Canucks are ahead of it.
Yeah, they're giving it back just as good as they're getting it, right? I mean, I know a couple more good questions in here, but I think about that play behind the net where Miller got absolutely decked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then gets up, and instead of slashing, I think it was Janmark.
Yes.
Gets up, skates back, comes back to the play, sees that Janmark has the puck, and instead of like slashing him early on and taking some sort of retaliatory penalty, he literally goes back at him with a hard clean play and just decks him back.
And
like,
that was
exactly
brutal
the
hit.
shit that I want to see, right? Like that was
the hit on Miller. The hit on Miller was brutal. There was a few in there that I did not like.
Yeah, like speaking of things that I didn't, I can think of like, I know there's some good questions in here. Grant again, like, do we feel like Speck's article influenced how the refs called this game? Like I don't really know. Like I'm trying not to get too involved in the whole like the refs are on Vancouver or they're not doing anything or Kelly Sutherland and all this stuff, right? But
yeah,
if I really think back to this game, I can think of 2 penalties that I did not like in that game. I didn't like the Nurse penalty on the cross-check on Carlson.
Right.
Because I didn't think like that it was that big of a deal. And I think that the teams have been feeding each other. I can think of a couple times when Miller was just cross-checking somebody down low in the corner. And it's like, whatever, right? I think it's because he leant on him and put him down. This is a neutral zone play. It's not affecting a scoring opportunity.
No.
It's not eliminating a scoring opportunity, right? It's not causing a scoring opportunity. There's nothing that you should be worried. I don't think that penalty should have been called on Nurse. I also don't think that pardon me?
It was like a scrum hockey play. Like
it's just scrum hockey. That is playoff hockey to an absolute T. Regular season, sure, throw it out the window. And the other one that I didn't like was the Zadorov penalty. I think that a big hit on Kane, that if this wasn't into another team's bench, if it was just on the ice, he'd have hit him, he'd have put him down, and he'd have skated away. But when you put a guy into a bench like that, and he falls in with all his equipment and all his gear and all these people on sticks around on the floor in front of you, like, of course he can't get his stick out. What's he supposed to do? Just let go of his stick? Like, no, he's not holding him down there. He's literally trying to get his stick out from underneath the bench. That's not a penalty. It's neutral zone again. It's not affecting play. Both players are out of the play in this format. And if had this been a hit on the ice and he was caught with his stick underneath the ground, it wouldn't have been called. Don't think it should have been called when he dumped him in the bench.
No, you're right. I mean, again, did one of those play in our favor? Sure. But yeah, something like that. I mean, it was a big hit. And
that is a big hit.
It was, it's just, you hate to see certain plays. Like, I don't know if that was going to dictate how that game was going to go, but you do hate to see calls like that where it does start to affect the game a little bit. So it is what it is. I mean, I would hope that the referees are looked at like, you would hope that, you start seeing these guys less and less as the playoffs go on, but Yeah, I didn't like either of those penalties either. I mean, it's nice that they got a 4-on-4 out of it, which again was kind of bogus anyway too.
What's the point? Are you just trying to get Zadorov off the ice? Like Grant saying, I think the refs called Big Z because of that last pushback onto the bench, right? But I mean, I don't know. Was it a big pushback or was he like trying to get his stick back? Like, I don't really know, but I know that Kane gets up with that cheeky ass look on his face, knowing full well that he was holding his stick, right? Like, why
Exactly.
else are you grinning? You're not grinning because you got absolutely fucking schmammered, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
I've got cats in the den.
So
here.
it's possible. It's probably what the ref saw that he decided he needed to call that penalty. But
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna call it because my cats are driving me nuts here, and my wife wants to sleep. So, here, I'm gonna close the door for the final stage. This is the best part. So here's the thing, folks. I'm walking around my den here as I'm cleaning up, putting hardwood on Tuesday, doing work things. Been gone all weekend. If you buy a shirt, we got these cool stickers you're gonna get with them. One's like the old school one. This one's kind of got like a cool thing. You get some swag. We take care of you in that sense. You know who else takes care of you? Your Vancouver Canucks and the PP1 podcast. This is fun for us. I mean, I'm kind of happy we didn't do a game 2 show because I didn't want to have to be reliving that. I was ready for bed. And then the Northern Lights came, so that was pretty sweet. Missed it, but I heard it was good. Let's just enjoy this. Let's just enjoy what's going on right now. The Canucks are definitely taking to the Oilers, and you should be able to go to work tomorrow and enjoy that as Canucks Nation. Rub it in your Oilers friends, fans' faces, because that's what we do, because they do to us all the time. So occasionally we need to get the upper hand. So, like the Canucks did to McDavid at the end of the game. They gave him
don't do that to your friends, though.
don't actually do that specific thing, but you know what I mean. Ted, any final
Unless,
words?
of course, if you walk into the office and you get two-handed, then go for it. But other than that, maybe don't.
It's like he had it coming. That's an HR thing. You don't want to get involved with that. So, any final words from you, sir?
I continue to believe that this team has the chops to hang with the Oilers, 5-on-5 and defensively and bottom six wise, and that if they can find a way to slow down this power play and be more efficient with not taking penalties, that we have just as, I should say, goaltending as well. We have just as good a chance to win this series as Edmonton does. So just keep rooting this team on and keep the good vibes coming.
Excellent. Any predictions for Game 4?
No.
Cool. Me neither. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be fuel in the fire.
No.
On behalf of Third Line Vibes and Wi-Fi, this is the PP1 Podcast Playoff Post-Game Show. Thanks for coming by, Grant and Curtis. We appreciate the love, guys. It's always fun to have people chatting with on this. Let's do it again in a couple days. Let's do it again. PP1 Podcast. Peace out.